If you had to be exorcised by someone from a fictitious sitcom, who would you prefer to be your priest?
Oh, easy.
I'm answering for both of you. John wants Urkel, but not
Holy
Urkel.
shit, how'd you know? I really did want Urkel.
But not Urkel. He wants Stefan Urkel. The cool Urkel.
Oh, God.
I was actually going with Urkel, but I'm impressed you were even in the ballpark. Well done, sir.
Y'all hit that shit right out of the park.
Nailed.
What I do.
I've been doing this for a while. It was definitely going to come from the TGI Friday lineup.
Those are the last
and
TV
Mark
shows.
wants Tootie from The Facts of Life.
No, not quite. I was going to go with AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
Why?
Because he's big and tough. You know, he can hold me down while that demon is trying to get at me.
I feel like Zach's going to be able to convince the demon to actually leave, though.
You know, that might actually work because his timeout power, because he can go timeout and everything stops, and then he can
just exercise during that?
Yeah.
Would that work on a demon,
I think
though?
we just go with nerds, though. I think you get Screech. You get Urkel, you get Screech.
I don't know if Screech is going to have the faith required to exercise a
Oh, he
demon.
hung out with Zach for all those years. He's got the faith.
You gotta have
okay.
faith.
How long did he go after Lisa Turtle?
Forever.
That's some faith, baby.
I don't even know. Did they finally get married?
I don't know. Didn't they go to like,
knows?
Hawaii and everyone get married at one time and have like a giant orgy?
I don't know about that last part.
I think that was in his book. You get
That was-
confused.
that was in
Yeah.
college.
That could
The
also be
college
one of those porn parodies you were talking about last episode.
Nailed by the bell.
Boom. Saved by the balls.
You're tardy.
Oh boy. Okay, so we got Urkel and we got Screech.
Well, Slater, but Screech by proxy, I
Yeah.
guess.
I've overridden both your choices.
Tag
Yeah.
team.
All right, and what nerd do I get? And don't you say Kimmy Gibbler.
no.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Wesley Crusher?
No, it's going to be Perfect Strangers Bulky.
Yes. There it is.
Nice.
You nailed-
Cousin
you nailed
Garrett, you're possessed.
We do the dance of joy.
Yeah. It was very nice to see Jeffrey from Fresh Prince. I can't think of another time I've seen him since that show.
No.
I'm sure he's been on Law and Order, one of them.
Well, clearly he joined the clergy and became a priest.
Yeah, not a good one, though.
Once he got fired from Uncle Phil, he's
Yeah.
like, "Get out of here, Jeffrey! You stole the silver spoons out of the cabinet."
Or he was a priest the whole time. It was like an undercover thing.
Oh shit! All right, well, we ready to get started with this exorcism movie?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, let's do it.
that's what I'm looking
hold
for.
it. Hold it. Yes.
Nice. Hey, all you creatures from cyberspace. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the GraveTalk podcast. My name is Mark. Again, joined with Garrett and John. Fellas, we're back for another one. How we doing this afternoon, this Sunday?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually like so exhausted and out of it, but I'm going to bring 100% of the 1% that I have left
Why are
to
you so
this
tired?
podcast. It's a busy day of time at work.
Yeah.
Tis the season, so shit's going crazy.
You know, we can always just replace you off the podcast if that'd be helpful.
If as long as
As long as
it
you can
is,
chime in with your headcanon every now and then.
yeah, it also has to be with like a celebrity. I don't want it. Could be D-list. Yeah, it could be a D-list. Like,
Jaleel White.
it could be Jeffrey.
No,
but
we can't replace John. That's like switching out Roth for Hagar.
I don't know, but okay. I assume that's a bad
I
thing.
don't know, but okay. John does not know his Van Halen.
No, he does not know his Van Halen at all.
No,
Anyway, what have you guys been up to since last time?
I managed to watch 2 movies.
No.
Yeah, I know, one a week.
The porn parody of... No.
WNUF Halloween special.
What?
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
WNUF?
yeah. It's like a found footage where supposedly someone recorded this Halloween special on videotape.
It sounded like a radio station or something.
It's like a local TV, public access TV station. Yeah, it's all right. You know what? It has like so much charm, and they like recorded all these commercials. Well, they didn't record them, but they made all these commercials. That was like the best part. Like just like they did a great job of capturing what public access commercials were like in the late 80s, early 90s.
so they spoof a whole block of TV is what you're saying.
Yes, and it's like about that they're going into this supposedly haunted house, and it turns out to really be, spoiler for, I think this thing's like 5 years old. But anyway, it turns out that it's like really haunted and so on and so forth.
Well, I watched the new Hellraiser trailer. That shit is awesome. I'm pretty excited about the new Hellraiser. Now, let's see if the story's any good, but so far, visuals looking pretty rowdy.
I haven't bothered to jump into the negative pool of the internet, but are people mad that it's a woman this time as Pinhead?
Who could give a shit?
I'm just curious.
I don't care.
Because there's precedent, right? I've seen pictures of a female Pinhead before.
Oh yeah, of course they're worked up about everything, but fuck those people.
I had to deal with assholes being like, "There's no black people in Tolkien world," and like, go fuck yourself. You know, like honestly, I'm done with it. People had a problem with She-Hulk twerking. You should never have a problem with a giant Amazon lady twerking for you. Period. I don't care in what capacity you get it. Be thankful.
Yeah.
But no, there might be some backlash on it, but I think honestly people might just be so excited to finally have a Hellraiser.
You mean one that was actually written as a Hellraiser property and not just something
Not
that
a
was...
movie.
Yeah.
Not an Amityville horror movie.
Right.
A Law and Order episode just slapped on.
But what if with Pinhead?
Yeah.
Objection, you oughta. Let's see. I watched Clown again.
Ooh, I liked Clown.
Dude, Clown still holds up. That movie, just as John would say, slaps.
It does slap.
Have you ever heard the tale of the cloying?
I have now, yeah.
John, did you think of the second movie that you watched?
I did. It was called Eye of Fire. And it's about it's like set in 1700s, like America. This preacher gets caught being an adulterer and gets chased out of town with his family. And then they get haunted by like the spirit of Native Americans. It's like a folk horror thing.
So his family went with him.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. It came out in 1983. So it has a real made-for-TV feel to it. But it wasn't bad. It's just not my cup of tea. It was all right.
How does Native American haunting ghosts fit into the Catholicism religion?
Well, good question. Here's the thing. No matter what, it's the devil, and Catholic Jesus is going to beat him. So,
Catholic Jesus, not other Jesus.
yeah, I mean, everybody knows when the shit gets real, you're calling in Catholic Jesus for the exorcisms. All right.
Speaking of getting into religion.
What did you watch?
Oh, wait. Take that back.
Horror movies is my religion, John. That's correct. And I saw...
With segues like that, who needs sponsors?
I saw Barbarian. I went to the theater. I went to the AMC down on Tech Ridge and watched Barbarian.
What? You abandoned the draft house for AMC?
Also, Tech Ridge?
There is no Alamo near me.
You drive to goddamn Alamo.
Yeah.
Alamo Draft House,
AMC,
get at us.
Tech Ridge is
We could
closer.
still use
It's
a
also
sponsor.
nice.
Is the Lakeline AMC not closer?
No. Oh. It's off 35.
Have we done the math? Have we really measured it?
Yeah, somebody
We got
get me
it
an
with
atlas
string
and a
lure.
protractor.
Yeah, an atlas and a protractor. Nice.
Anyway, the place where I watched is neither here nor there. Barbarian was pretty good. The trailer really hides what the movie's about. And it does some interesting things with kind of a home invasion, if you will. I don't want to go into it too much because it's new, but I gave it 3 to 4 stars. I think it's worth checking out.
Okay.
At least once. I don't know on second rewatch because there's a lot of tension in the first half, and then it almost becomes comical to a degree in the last half.
Is it a dark comedy? Because that's what all the horror movies do, and they don't really know how to write a fucking good horror script. They throw some humor in there, and they call it a dark comedy.
I don't know if I'd call it a dark comedy. There's not like a lot of quips, but some of the events that take place are funny.
Okay.
So
Is anyone named Conan in the movie?
no, but that'd be cool.
Oh, would have been.
I still don't know what it means by the title, Barbarian.
Are they barred in at any point? Are they half naked? Bar,
Yeah, are they bared
bear?
in?
I guess so.
Maybe.
They've been barred and buried.
Okay.
And anyway,
Is it 3 to 4 stars out of 5 or out of 10?
5.
Okay,
I
good
always go on the 5 scale.
Okay, you're a
Unless
fiver.
somebody makes me grade on the 10, and then I got to adjust. But I'm a 5-star kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. I also default to the 5 stars.
Anyway, check it out. It's in theaters now. But today we're here to talk about the 2021 film, The Exorcism of God.
Yeah.
And John, this was your pick.
It was, well, I think I got to owe it to Garrett for turning me on to this movie. He told me about it, and then I watched it and was like, y'all, this movie is bananas, and we should do an episode about it.
And I bought it that night on iTunes based off that right there. I hadn't watched it until now. But yeah, when you said that, I was like, okay, cool. Sold.
And it's bananas, right?
It is bananas.
Yeah, so I can't wait to get into the details. But yeah, this movie is, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up out of 2.
And
Wow.
to be fair, anytime I see something with the word exorcism in the title, I like screenshot it to tell you about it. Like there's a whole, I have a whole folder of photos of like, tell John about these exorcism movies. There's like 4 of them out right now.
Is there?
Yeah, like 4 brand new exorcism movies.
Yeah, they come out by the dozen.
Guys, I hate to say it, but this is one of the easiest type of horror films to make.
Yeah.
You put somebody in a bed, make them scream a little bit, and you do a little composite eye color change on them, and you're done. You made yourself an Exorcist film. Congratulations.
Well, I have a note that says easiest to make, hardest to execute.
Yes.
That's true, but that doesn't stop them from coming out.
You think
No.
you think Tubi crawler, Amazon Prime bottom of the barrel watcher doesn't know that it is easy to make exorcism movies.
Oh, you've watched about all of them, but I'm still waiting for that review of Exorcism at 30,000 feet.
Oh,
where someone
yeah, I
gets
forgot about
possessed
that
on a
one.
plane.
Yeah.
But how easy is it to make these movies when it actually takes this many companies to produce them? Lionsgate, Saban, Epica, Kobach Films, Hakun, ITW, Terminal, Mythos, XYZ. Those are all the fucking like titles that we had at the beginning of this movie. All the people who helped produce this movie. Oh my God. I was laughing so hard when this thing started out. And I was all like, well, we're on like 9 or 10 at this point.
Yeah. Doesn't Saban do Power Rangers?
Yeah, they did. I was waiting to see the Green Ranger show up and play his little knife flute.
That would be a crossover. I would love to see The Exorcism of Power Rangers.
Oh,
Exorcism of Power Rangers.
Zordon's been taken. We got to pin him down and call a priest.
You can't have a demon and the Ranger spirit in you at the same time, so...
I thought it was farcical when that was going on, dude. I was just like, is this like a Tim and Eric sketch? Like at the beginning of their movie, they did something similar. But I think it's because this movie was shot in Mexico. The director is Venezuelan, and it was released in America. So I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there was like 11 production companies attached to this thing.
It's a real international picture.
The very definition of, one might say. But the director of this one is Alejandro Hidalgo. Like I said, he's a Venezuelan filmmaker who first gained notoriety doing a movie called The House at the End of Time. I haven't seen it yet, but it's gotten a Mexican remake, and now it's on the way to get an American remake. Ooh. And I am interested. I think I want to go try to find and dig this one up and check it out.
I hope the American remake is a remake of the Mexican remake, so it's like a copy of a copy situation.
Yes, a multiplicity. It's going to be like Michael Keaton, the fifth one.
And then there'll be a Bollywood remake of the American remake of the Mexican remake of the movie. So dig up a few interviews with Alejandro, and he originally did want to shoot this in Venezuela, but it was going on the same right around the time of that dictator stuff was going on in the country. It was kind of in peril, so he had to go do it somewhere else, and then he chose Mexico. He wanted to bring a different setting to Americans because we're so used to the American feel of everything, and he wanted to say, hey, look, there's beauty in other countries, and there's a lot of good settings that you don't see, from Latin America that could benefit. And so then he put his movie in the dingiest dungeon jail possible.
Right.
Oh, I think you're talking about the outside establishing shots in the villages and stuff like that. Because those were like just gorgeous. I was like, wow.
Yeah, definitely. But you think about like even to John's point, those prisons are far worse than what we have in America. At least that's what I've been told.
I would think so. I don't think we have sewer dungeons in America.
I guarantee you we have sewer dungeons in America.
Well, all right, I don't think we have legal sewer dungeons. I'm sure there are people out there who I don't want to meet that have sewer dungeons.
I would not be surprised if maybe we have legal sewer dungeons as well. But
we ship those all overseas, so
we should write Ghost Hunters, see if they can find.
All right, this one is starring
Gloria Estefan as the possessed lady in one.
She kept saying, the rhythm's going to get you.
Maria Gabriela de Faria as Esperanza. Joseph Marcel as Father Michael Lewis. That's Jeffrey. Of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Will Beinbrink as Father Peter Williams. Irene Castillo as Magali. Raquel Rojas as inmate Sylvia. Hector Costefakis as Dr. Nelson. Christian Rummel as Balban/Possessed Jesus. He did the voice. Juan Ignacio Aranda as Bishop Balducci. Eloisa Maturin as Possessed Virgin. And Alfredo Herrera as Possessed Jesus. This one's currently sitting at a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes with the critics. And it does not have an audience score.
What audience? Get with it, bro.
How does it not have an audience score?
Dash. I'm seeing it. Grayed out sad popcorn.
I don't know. Maybe you got to be verified with like a check mark, like on Twitter or something. Because when I clicked that number, I did see some reviews.
All right, audience score 100% then. Can't tell me otherwise.
That's John's headcanon, and he's sticking to it.
Amen.
Here's what the back of the DVD has to say about Exorcism of God. Father Peter Williams, an American exorcist, hides a shocking secret.
Wait, is he American?
Yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You didn't know that?
No.
Possessed by a demon he was trying to expel, he committed a terrible sacrilege. To atone for the sin, Peter devotes his life to charity work in a small town in Mexico. 18 years later, his deeply buried secret comes to light when the demon from his past returns, possessing a girl and unleashing a deadly disease. Now Peter must choose between saving his own soul and saving the people he loves most in one final, epic battle against the evil within.
That's not bad. We've definitely had worse ones on here.
We've seen worse.
We've seen
back in
worse.
the box.
Well, guys, what did we think of The Exorcism of God? And John, do you want to lead this as our exorcism expert?
I will. Okay. So here's what I'll tell you.
Exorcism.
As someone who's watched, probably hundreds of these movies, this is one of the better ones by a lot. I would say this is like an A tier. This is a top tier exorcism movie. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't take itself too serious. I think it plays into the fact that it is whole plot is bananas.
I put it up there with Exorcist 3.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's not quite Exorcist 1 level, but it's still just a fucking banger.
Yeah, it's less serious than Exorcist 3. Exorcist 3 is a film. This is just a good time, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I think all the actors did great. I have some problems. There's
Got some notes.
yeah, there's a lot of screaming, an unnecessary amount of there's the soundtrack, and then there's also just screaming at all times. So it's 80 minutes of hearing people scream. So that was kind of annoying, but mostly it's pretty awesome.
I think I agree with you there. I think it's entertaining, and it's definitely refreshing to see something new in the genre where almost all these films are the same.
Yeah.
They're almost always the same beat for beat plot points. So it's cool to see something different. It's definitely a lower budget film. So when you compare it to something like Exorcist 3, it is not in the same caliber as that in terms of budget, right?
Agreed.
But in terms of enjoyment, I would say I could see that comparison. How many have you seen? Would you say that it tops 20? Have you seen at least 20 Exorcist films?
Oh, yeah.
He's easily seen at least 20 Exorcist
This,
movies.
I would say, is top, if I'm just going off my gut here, top 15.
He's top tier, top shelf. He just refuses to tell you a number one.
I'd say top 15, possibly top 10, but very high top 15 for sure.
Maybe someday we're going to get a top 10 out of you.
Okay.
Exorcist
a lot of
films.
them you'd probably already could guess, but yes.
Sure.
Yeah, or those who don't could have some content that we at the GraveTalk podcast make for them, John.
All right. Top 10-ish Exorcist movies coming your way.
Top 10 must-watch Exorcism movies.
All of them. Go to
No.
Tubi and just type in Exorcism. Can't miss.
Oh, boy.
No, I got you covered.
Exorcism of Cindy's Cat. We're not watching that one, okay?
I don't know if I've seen an animal exorcism. That would be something. Get at me, Hollywood. I got ideas already.
I just put it out there, so maybe that'll come true.
Great, coming from GraveTalk Cinemas.
Great. We'll have 19 different
Yes.
logos at the beginning. This movie starts off with something that I will back to the day I die. If you're doing an exorcism movie, you better have a Bible quote written across the screen or said out loud before you start anything else. That is always I love that so much. And they're always the most random quotes. Sometimes they work really well, and then sometimes it's all and lo, the fishes begat. So, what the fuck does it have to do with anything?
It's always some sort of hey, this is what the movie's kind of about. That's just
Yeah.
what the scripture is alluding to. So for this one, it was, so now I'm no longer doing it, but the Son within. And that's a Romans. I didn't get the actual number,
Yeah,
but
Romans 3:16.
no.
John.
But my advice for Exorcist movies writers out there, just stay away from any Legion-based quote. We have beat that one to shit. So
Oh, God. We are Legion.
yeah,
Come
anything about
on.
that story, the pigs, all of it, get just thumbs down. The Bible's a big book. I haven't read all of it, but it looks substantial. So
I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
This movie's better than Conjuring 3 and The Nun.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I will say better than none, but I don't know. I like Conjuring 3.
I would concur with you on that. It also had a lot of the same kind of look and feel of The Nun, but I think a better job of it.
I thought it might have been the same castle at first. When he first walks up to it at night at the very beginning, and he runs in, he'd be like, no, senor, don't do it. Or whatever he's doing there.
The Exorcist shot, they got that out of the way
Yeah.
4 minutes into the movie.
We don't need to get into this, but The Nun 2 is happening.
I saw,
Thumbs down.
yeah, I'll probably watch it 7 times and hate it, just like the real
too.
Nun.
Get thee to a nunnery.
It should be back in the habit.
Yes.
Whoopi's got that one trademarked. There's no way.
So it was interesting looking into this film after I watched it because like I said, I was entertained. There's a lot of people calling it misogynistic and homophobic. I saw a lot of comments on Letterboxd in particular saying, how dare you have this man who committed rape be a sympathetic character, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the movie, there's that, when he's giving his sermon, he says homosexuals are not going to enter into the kingdom of heaven while he's rattling off like all these lines.
Yeah, but
do they know what Catholicism is?
Well,
I mean, that's kind of like Catholicism 101. By the way, sorry for all the people out there who are religious. We are going to tear the shit out of religion.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
disclaimer, none of us think homosexuals going to hell.
Agreed.
Not even sure there is a hell. So
also agreed. But also, did they watch the movie? Because, I mean, spoiler for the end, he's a fucking demon.
Oh, damn, man. You spoiled it already. We're like, what, 4 minutes into this episode?
I wouldn't be John Spoiler me if I didn't spoil shit. But he's the bad guy
Like
in
American me. John Spoiler me.
Yeah, me.
I also do not understand the lumping Father Peter Williams as a sympathetic character. I never felt sympathetic
he's
towards
an
him
asshole.
at all.
The main guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
the main
No, I
dude.
never felt like sympathetic for him. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, I hope you get your comeuppance.
So I'm sorry that the movie made you feel sympathetic towards him. I almost felt like he was incompetent at his job half the time.
He was really bad. I mean, there is, and I wrote in my notes, like a weird thing where the person who was sexually assaulted was like, you know what, I'm glad that it happened because now I have Esmeralda. And I was like, that's
Common thing, though.
weird,
That's a
but
thing that happens sometimes.
That was the other point the audiences
Yeah.
or the viewers were latching onto.
it felt weird, but also, I mean, she loves her kid.
No, honestly, I didn't have a problem with that because she came across that with her own agency. I mean, yeah, it sucks. It's horrible what happened to her, but she's like, you know, like, I'm glad this happened because I've got my beautiful daughter, blah, blah. Like, she came to that herself. The movie didn't basically say, like, you're going to be happy about this no matter what. Now, the shit with the father, like, basically being like, I had no control over myself. I was possessed by a demon. And everyone's just like, cool. I'm like, whoa.
No,
It's like, that's some crazy shit.
Yeah, he was DTF the moment he walked in there. And I mean,
Don't get me wrong. When the first time the shot opens up and I'm like, yeah, okay. All right. And then you
Well-
see her face and I was like, okay, I'm back out.
So let's get there, right? So the movie opens up with we see Father Peter coming up to a house, and he's been led into a room, very dark. The setting and moods of this movie are great.
It's like a house. It's like a villa.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you will. And it leads him into a bedroom.
I will, sir.
You must. The priest is led to the back, and there is a woman strapped to a bed, and this may be the most sexual I've ever seen a possessed woman be in one of these type of films.
Not for me.
Yeah, you're not watching the porn
films, my
parodies.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like moaning and she's like, you know, soaked through her very thin shirt. So it was like all nips. And the priest right away is like licking his lips. Like, are you kidding me, dude?
Which begs the question right now. Would you guys fuck a possessed demon?
I mean, no.
Never.
That's the right answer, by the way.
Right.
So
Like outside of like all of the valid consent concerns, it's just she looks like a monster.
whoa.
And she's a demon.
Oh my God, so judgy.
Yeah, I think I am a little judgy. If you look like a demon, I'm sorry. I'm sure there's a man out there for
demons
you.
Are freaks in bed, though.
To me, like,
But
one
that means
of
you have
the-
to believe in demonic possession, though.
Well, this demon was obviously
Maybe it's like those girls who go to UT at Halloween and they show up downtown in those outfits and they're like, I would never wear this throughout the year, but do shots off my ass cheeks dressed as a sexy kid. And you're like, what?
it's their time to let loose. All right, we don't kink shame on the GraveTalk podcast.
What does
okay?
Pazuzu think about the sexiness of Baldan or whatever? What's the name of this?
Balban.
Balban. Bro, Pazuzu's like a prude, all right? That's his name, Pazuzu the prude. Comparatively, because Balzan there,
Balban.
Balbang, right? Is that's all.
I'm down to Balbang.
That's all they want. That's all it wants to do. But this movie, like,
But hold on real quick. You were absolutely right, though, Mark. When he walks in, he's looking at this girl like, ooh la la. And it's like, what? Like, that's the first thing that like threw me off is like, I was like, man, she's all fucked up, dude. And he's all like, oh, mercy. I can see her nipples. And I was like, bro, this is not the time.
We don't know this yet as the viewer, but the priest and this possessed woman actually have a history.
Wait, do they?
Yes, she's a nun. She's the nun that he's in love with.
Yeah.
Can't you see this woman's a nun?
they dropped that like one line like midway through the movie.
I missed that because it seemed like maybe they had a history, but I was like, and then I was like, what the fuck is up with these two people? And then later on, I was like, there's no way this is the chick he banged out when she was possessed. And then sure enough, the movie's like, yeah, I banged you out when you're possessed. And I was like, what the fuck? And,
Yeah.
like, this movie actually, like, I did not catch the little things, so I was constantly shocked when the revelations kept happening.
That was my note. Oh shit, swerve.
Well, John, why don't you describe the possession scene?
Yeah, so sometimes in these movies they want to make you guess a little bit, like, oh, is this really possession? Is it just mental illness or whatever? No, this movie, there's no question about it. She's got a demon face. Like a deformed, forehead and everything. Her skin is demonic looking, yellow eyes. The bed floats right away. Like, there's no question this chick possessed. And so he calls up Jeffrey, Father Michaels, and is like, bro, we got like a stage 5 possession. And Michaels is like, you can't handle this demon. Wait 2 days. I'm on my way. Don't fuck this up. And he's like, I just called to tell you that I'm going to do it.
He says if he doesn't do it now, she's going to die.
Yeah. So,
and honestly, looking at her and the way like her body's like
contorting.
I would believe that. I don't know if she's got 2 days either.
I agree. With my notes, I was like, she doesn't have 2 days. But Father Michael's like, do not do it. And he's like, and the other priest is like, yeah, roger that. Okay, bye. Gonna go, exorcise this girl. So then he goes in, and it's your classic screamy possession. God damn you, get out of here.
Whoa.
Father Christ compels you, da 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 da. And she's just like, sup, you want to fuck? She's like rubbing her body. She's, and he's like starts to sweat.
And shout out to the Foley artist who really got a mic right in there when she starts fingering herself.
Yes.
I was like, this is the loudest sound effect I've heard in this movie yet.
She was like, they must have just had like a wet sponge and just. So yeah, then she starts masturbating, and he's screaming all of his exorcism ritual.
It's always the standard shit, which actually plays into this movie that I like.
Yeah.
But it's the same. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And it's like, why is this the one?
Because you don't deviate from the classics, baby.
That's the one that everybody says in church, like before they take communion or something.
I thought was going to be rad because later on, spoiler, not near as a spoiler as John let out. But when Father Jeffrey shows up and he's like, look, we're going to have to do it different. This kind of exorcism is just do whatever the fuck you feel. And I was like, yo, you could just say whatever you wanted. But like, get the fuck out that chick, yo. Like, and it still counts. Like, yeah. I thought they were going to go a little more freeform with it because yes, you're right. It is always the same damn. Now, is that like required by the Catholic? Okay.
It's part of the Roman ritual. And the reason they use that particular prayer is because that's the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. So it's very, very holy, supposedly. I think it's one of the only actual prayers in the book.
Wait, Jesus did an exorcism?
No, Jesus said that prayer.
Oh,
Jesus, you see why I don't understand why it's applied to exorcisms, because it wasn't when it was said. It wasn't in an
it's supposed
possession.
to be like it's the word of God. So that's like super holy.
It's like walking into a room with a possessed woman and just start doing the I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Here's the thing.
It's like I give you guys dating advice. You just take it because you know it is.
Yeah, it's
gospel.
coming from. You can't go off of Jesus. Jesus was OP, right? In the Bible, he would just be like, "Oh, you're exorcised demons. Get the fuck out of here," and then they'd just leave. They'd be like, you're too powerful."
Well, because Jesus doesn't need to have faith in himself.
That's true.
He's already there. He's already at 100%.
Ultimate
Does
confidence.
Jesus have low self-esteem? Does he not believe in himself?
Obviously not, because he skedaddled demons, no problem.
Well, there was that 30-day period in the desert where he was tempted by Satan.
Yeah.
30 days at night.
But then that was his like becoming a superhero.
Yes, exactly. Moment. After that, man, Marvel needs to make a Jesus movie.
Do you think Satan came onto him all like possessed, horny, like this chick did?
I assume he showed him a bunch of. I assume Satan
porn mags.
Well, showed him
check this out.
A bunch of different visions, to try to tempt him.
Okay.
I think by this time Jesus was just hanging with his main gal, Mary Magdalene.
That's true. They were.
Is that his mom?
No, that's the other Mary. There are two Marys.
Oh, boy.
Mary Magdalene was his main squeeze.
The Virgin Mary's Proud Mary. Rolling.
Yeah.
And then there's Mary Magdalene, the harlot that he saved from getting stoned in the street.
Yeah, and then just dick down nonstop.
Wait, is that Bible?
No. But there are theories saying that
we never got that one in Vacation Bible School.
Certain historians think Jesus did have a secret wife, and that it might have been Mary Magdalene.
I would suggest you read the Da Vinci Code. I believe it's like a codex to the Bible. Covers all of that.
Religious listeners, like Garrett said, please don't be mad at us. We don't know what we're talking about, really.
Let's also point out that exorcism, like special effects, haven't really like changed much. It's always the same exact stuff over and over again. But the detail and the level of like how awesome they look has really gone up though. Like this chick looked mad messed up. Like her face, like the veins and everything, like the skin was almost like kind of translucent looking. Her eyes had a really cool like effect, kind of like a cat eye. Like when it catches the light a certain way, it kind of like became like a yellowish kind of like retina. Not retina. What the fuck does the
Iris, yeah.
And it was just like, wow. I was like, okay, they did a really good job. And I thought this was going to be like higher budget because of that.
Well, they spent most of their budget, I think, in the scene, and then near the end when they had like the Spice Girls of demons. But we'll get to them.
No, I tell you what I want if you really want.
She's like, let me in. I was like, hey, that's a meme. So then in classic, so if you watch Exorcist movies, you know what's going to happen. He gets pissed that the ritual's not working. So then he starts like physically assaulting her. But then he ends up, I mean, I guess rape feels like a strong word.
No. It's not a strong word because it's a strong situation.
Okay, fine. He rapes her.
You can argue that maybe the demon had passed him because, like, yeah, he has the holy water.
You can argue because that's what happens, and that's what I think a lot of people are missing.
Yes, because you see his face. No, you see his face.
He's not in possession of his own body when the rape occurs.
Oh, I thought that was like the inner, like kind of like the visual representation of man's like inherent nature to sin and stuff like that. Like,
incredible. That would have been an incredible amount in this movie. This is not that kind of movie.
He pushed to his limit and did something really terrible because the situation arose, and then he had to deal with the guilt of actually knowing that it wasn't actually a demon. I'm just as evil as that.
You just bumped this movie up to a notch it's not at. But
yeah, you're coming at it at like a college reading level. This is like a third grade reading level, real surface.
Okay.
I have many leather-bound books.
So here's exactly what happens, and I think some of the people that are negative on this movie missed. So this woman and the priest have a history. She was a nun at the parish that he fell in love with, and he'd had these feelings for her. So in the possession, Balban is using those against him while she's getting all sexual at him and, you know, getting those feelings going. He knows how to target the priest because he knows his feelings inside. So
sexy nuns, man, it works. I'm just saying.
In a moment of weakness, Father Peter kisses her, but that opens him up just enough to let Balban transfer and possess the priest.
Yeah.
And Balban is the demon of deceit.
Right. So then Balban uses Peter to rape her while she's basically passed out.
And then it cuts to 18 years later, and now he's moved to Mexico and is in charge of like a orphanage.
So this is in America?
I think he's always been in Mexico.
Okay, he's in Mexico, stayed there, didn't move anymore to Mexico.
To Cabo for spring break and just never left.
So he must have moved away from where he was at, though. Because how did he not know that this nun was pregnant and had a baby? If he was like right down the street.
She said she ran away.
She moved.
Yeah, she's like, because of the shame, I had to leave this village.
That's fucked up.
She did say that. Yeah. All the memories.
Okay.
So
he stays right where he's at, takes over an orphanage, and she skedaddles, unfortunately.
Same orphanage, because one of the kids becomes a nun.
So he takes over the orphanage he was already at.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's now considered a saint because of this exorcism gone correctly according to the public opinion. He saved this woman's life, and everybody loves him. He's a rising star in the Catholic religion.
A saint, right? He's not actually a saint because you need like 2 miracles and a life of like good deeds.
He's not
right?
a saint yet.
He's a local saint.
Okay.
Yeah,
a local god, if you will.
Yeah.
The public consider him a saint.
And we find out that he did confess his sin. You know, he told and the priest gave him some penance. He was like, okay, you got to tell the bishop.
Well, okay, wait, hold on. So that actually had a question because there's like 3 scenes in this movie where he finally confesses. But he says that he confessed his sin. And I'm like, did he really? Or did he give like the Cliff Notes version of?
He confessed it to God when he was praying, but that wasn't his penance. He needed to go
get out of jail convenience, isn't it?
No, because he didn't do his penance, so that's why he's open.
But if he confessed it to God, what did God say his penance was?
He had to go tell the bishop and show the tape. Because we didn't mention, he also recorded all this on like a real old school.
Yeah, he had a video recorder when he was like doing the exorcism.
So he's got to share.
So there's evidence of his crime.
So he's got to tell the bishop that this happened and deal with, whatever punishment comes out of it. But his sin is like ego, I think, or pride, because he's like, oh, I can't do that because I'm so awesome. Look at all these kids I'm saving.
Well, he doesn't want to ruin his career.
Yeah. Vanity, I don't know what the sin is. Lust was a big one.
Yeah.
Let's go through all the 7 sins. Mark, pull them up.
All right. We've got sloth,
Oh, he is a lazy bastard. No, you can't be lazy if you got that many kids.
Yeah, no, he's not that. So correct. He didn't show this tape to anybody, and he's living with this guilt for 18 years. And we're introduced to his orphanage, and we see that there's some sort of disease that's overtaking and killing some of the kids.
I feel bad now because I totally like watched the wrong movie, evidently. So I thought that he was touched by evil after he raped the possessed girl. Like maybe not, he didn't have Balban in him, but I was like, oh, he's gone to the dark side. He's like, he's going to be an undercover priest, you know, like he's actually evil, but he's going to just keep using the cloth to kind of, you know, like do his evil ways under the cover of like the enemy. So I thought when he was, because he touches that kid's forehead and then they have to rush him into the hospital. I thought every time he touched a kid, they were like getting sick.
For 18 years, he's just been killing kids.
But the disease is a demon disease.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation that Balban is afflicting these kids with.
The doctor, like, we see one of the kids. The doctor's like, there's no bacteria, no virus. The organs are, like, A-okay. So then they're in a jail, and the jailer's going to give food to one of the, I almost said patients.
Oh, you mean the Jurassic Park scene?
Yes, to one of the inmates, and she takes the tray, but also bites, like, two of the guy's fingers off. He's like, my fingers.
Yeah, so he's replacing the food trays, and he reaches into one to like get the old tray, and he can't find it, and then like he gets his like arm grabbed, and like because one of the guys like, "What are you doing, dude? That's dumb." Gets his arm grabbed, gets
the
two
smarter of the two,
off, and I can hear Muldoon is like, "Shoot her, shoot her!" I was
Clever
like,
girl.
And he comes out with like no fingers, and I was just like, "Damn."
Yeah,
missing two, but this had to have been this guy's first day. Like,
clearly,
how do you do that?
Get a stick, dude. What are you doing?
Get a stick.
So then they call the priest, and this is why I'm surprised you didn't know he's American. This must have been the actor's like first time ever speaking Spanish, because he's like talking to the warden, and the warden's like, "Hey, you need to come down here. We have this inmate who has been asking for you specifically. She's super violent. Can you come take a look at her?" And this is all in Spanish. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll come, and I'll come in the morning." And that was some jilted Spanish from the actor.
He's all like, "Ir a la playa."
I thought it was like a Tom Cruise is the Last Samurai. Kevin Costner is like, speaking like whatever the language they used in Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
I thought it was just like a really bad actor doing a really bad foreign accent. I didn't think he was supposed to be American.
I think the acting overall was all right.
It was fine. This was the worst part, just because I don't think this guy speaks Spanish in real life.
Oh yeah, all the actors did a great job.
I think the particular standout for me was the doctor. I thought he did a really good performance.
Poor dude. Nelson,
Yeah. It's one of the only names I actually know in this one.
I think it's Michael is Jeffrey. Peter is the priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nelson.
The only reason I know Nelson is because when they like in that part where they're looking for Nelson, I was all like, I wrote down Michael, no Peter, no Michael, no Peter. Who the fuck is this guy? And it was like, oh no, Nelson. I was like, there we go.
So it's the next morning. We go into this like really shitty prison. I mean, this is like.
Can we before we jump to that? There was one scene that I actually kind of had a question. And you guys might know this because of your deep religious studies. So he gives like a monologue backstory at this point to like the bishop, because so he's been requesting funds and help from like the Vatican to like help this village and like these orphans and stuff like that, because the disease is getting worse and worse. He's been getting nowhere with the Mexican government. So finally, like he goes and sees, or the bishop comes down to see him, or they're on the phone or something. I don't.
He's in the bishop's office. I don't know why. He probably was called there or whatever.
Maybe he's got like a Mexican office or something like that. But
well, every priest like that will have a bishop in the area that oversees a bunch of churches.
Oh,
parish.
Okay.
A parish, yeah. So each parish gets a priest, and then a bunch of parishes gets a bishop.
Okay, gotcha. So a middle manager, nice.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and he's like, well, here, this is for you, and it's like this huge check.
Well, he's like, the Vatican has been hearing about all the great things that you're doing out here, and all your dreams have come true, bro. Like, here's, But
he was like legit, like Publishers Clearinghouse, shocked, like how much money he got. Now, does the Vatican just chunk out money like that? How much money does the Vatican have? They're pretty rich, right?
Yeah, like all the money. They're banked.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. Haven't you heard all these settlements they've had to do for?
Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay, so
he goes to the jail.
He gets the money from the bishop, and so then he buys a bunch of supplies. Now, that was just what? That's just because that's what he does?
Yeah, it didn't seem like it really had any purpose or anything. Because, they bought Christmas presents with it, and then we never hear about that money again.
Because the bishop doesn't know that he did this, right? Like, from
Not
my
yet.
understanding, like, no one knows that he did this to this woman.
The whole point of him receiving that money is that he's about to do his penance, and then he doesn't because he's rewarded.
Yeah.
That's why that scene exists. It has nothing to do with the money or what he does with it. It's like, look, I'm about to do, I'm being patted on the head.
Well,
Never mind.
That's what I was wondering about, because he brought the tape with him to give to the bishop. Then he stops when he gets a check, and I was like, did they know? And they're like, hey, no, don't say shit, man. Here's some money. Keep it quiet.
You know what? You might not be wrong, though, because if you zoom out, more spoiler, but we find out the bishop is also on the take.
Well, let's get to that later.
So maybe he knew, and this was more Balboa there, Rocky
Balboa.
more Baldon, three-dimensional chess.
Well, let's get to the end because some things are said that I don't know if that quite adds up.
Okay. I think you're right. I think it's
you're
just
right, John.
I was going to say, I think Mark's right more than I think I'm right. That it is just a scene to show that he still hasn't done his penance and he doesn't have the courage of his convictions to actually do it. So finally, they're in this Mexican jail that is flooded. They're in a dungeon, and there's a bunch of they're in there, and they're like, look, this lady, who's here is a violent criminal. She killed a man, she hanged him, and turned his head all the way around. So we put her in this deep dungeon because she's super strong. Don't fuck with her. Oh, by the way, she bit some guy's fingers off. Really talking her up. Gets in there, and there's she's chained to the wall. Obviously possessed. Her whole face is distorted and she's got them yellow eyes. She's like, excellent day for an exorcism.
Is that what she says?
No, that's from The Exorcist. But basically, she's just taunting this priest.
Is this the scene where she flat out was like, oh, welcome back. I'm so glad to see you again. And this is when he realizes that oh my God, this is Baldon.
Yeah, that must be, I think this is it.
Yeah, because she taunts him. She's like, oh, you came back for more of this? And she starts rubbing herself. And I was like, we're going to watch a chick fucking orgasm and expel a demon again. I was like, okay, this is this movie.
Oh, right. And then a real gross scene happens where she drops blood straight, like a chunk of blood from her vagina is like, oh, I'm wet again. So this demon doesn't fuck around. That was disturbing. They do their little...
So let me ask again. You guys still wouldn't bang a demon?
No.
Okay, just checking. Just want to check in halfway through
My
here.
big... on top of all the other things we talked about, how do you know she's just not going to kill you? Like a Black Widow...
That's the risk you take every time you have sex, John.
Black Widow style. When she's done, she turns around and bites her head right off.
Okay, so anyway, so she recognizes the priest, and it's clearly the same demon, and they are bantering, and he's like, oh, Lord, no, this can't be happening. My sins come back again. They go back to a dining room, and they're like, this is why you got to help us. And he's like, I don't know if I can. They're like, if you can't do it for us, do it for her mother. And then this figure shows up in the doorway, in silhouette, and is like, yes, do it for me. And I immediately was like, am I supposed to know who this person is?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to recognize this voice? I didn't.
No, me either, because she doesn't look like her younger self all that much, to be honest.
They cut to outside, and they're having a conversation, this shadow woman and the priest. And I was like, please don't let this be the chick he raped from the beginning of the movie.
It was.
Bam! Like that. They just she's like, look, I'm sorry what happened to you. She's like, I've forgiven you. And I was like, whoa. I was like, there's no way.
And this is where the big plot point comes. That's his daughter. She's like, you have to save your daughter. He's like, holy shit, this is going to take a lot of penance.
I haven't noticed this movie escalated very quickly.
I'm so backed up on my childcare payments. So no, they're going to take me for everything I own. Hey, Bishop, you got another check? The demon Balban, while she's possessed, does mention things of the Easter will bring resurrection. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, the dead kids. Guess who's doing it? It's me. And you're like, oh, I see what's going on here.
So he goes back to the bishop and he's like, look, we got to do an exorcism ASAP. This lady is seriously possessed. And he's like,
this might be real.
It's full-blown possession.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like stage 12, okay?
I don't even know if it's on the stage scale at this stage. And so he's like, but I don't want to do it alone this time. And the bishop goes, why not? And I wrote, because last time I raped somebody.
And the bishop's like, you know what? All the red tape removed.
Yeah.
You're clear to go and do your possession. And now looking back, what we know at the end, it's like, oh, well, that's clearly why.
Yeah. Bishops can't do that.
We skipped the scene where Jesus jump scares us.
Oh, that's right. It comes.
Let's talk about that real fast, because this was this actually got me. There's a scene where he's in bed in between talking to the bishop or somewhere right around here. The priest Peter is in bed and he's like, he hears a noise. I'll be honest. The dream sequence stuff, whether they're like happening or not, were freaky as fuck in this movie. But
Agreed.
he hears some dude crying out in like the wherever people sit in the church.
Pews.
Sanctuary.
Yes. And so he sees a dude crying in the corner, and this guy looks all messed up. And I was like,
bloody, and he's like,
well, he follows a blood drip trail to the man in the corner, and it's like, what's going on
He
there?
goes, "Are you okay?" Like, no, dude, he is not okay.
yeah, there's no way this guy's okay. And then like it turns around like all like monster style, like rah.
Doesn't turn around. So the long hair in the back and the crown of thorns is facing one way. From the back of the head, it removes the hair, and it's the face of Jesus. So it doesn't even turn around.
Head on
I thought
backwards.
it turned around, so its head was backwards, but it looked like it was like hunched over.
Yeah.
Okay, creepy.
And
It's
it
even
was
scarier.
a good effect. I thought it looked
Yeah.
great. And I was like, oh, spooky Jesus.
Yes.
I'm into this.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Jesus is here.
And you called him zombie Jesus.
Zombie Jesus, yeah.
Well, did you know that Jesus is the first zombie? He died and came back 3 days later.
Yeah, that's factual.
So that's biblical.
So Zombie Jesus is my favorite part of this movie. He shows up a couple of times, and every time I'm like, this is awesome.
But this is the first real jump scare we had in this movie. This is the first real like horror other than like the Exorcism
Yeah.
part of it. And like it was a very effective jump scare. I was like, oh man, I hope we don't do a lot of that. Well, we did.
There's plenty of that to go around. But I think I've started to become numb to that. So when it happens, I don't jump anymore.
Yeah, some of them still get me, but for this movie, they were pretty telegraphed. So,
Yeah.
except for that first one, that one was pretty good.
Because there's another like he's in bed like not too long in the future, and like he's in bed and he hears like a noise out in the hallway, and it's like walking towards his door, and I was like, okay. And he's got sleep paralysis at this point, like he can't really move.
Which is pretty common with exorcisms, right? Is that's a
time.
reoccurring thing?
Yeah, one of
really?
the ancient theories of sleep paralysis is that it was a demon sitting on your chest.
I know you told us multiple times in the podcast.
So, well, you know what? Not everyone listens to all of our podcasts. You should, though.
Well, there you go.
So
But
go
let's
listen
say-
to our backstory.
Let's chastise him for it.
So yes,
And
that's why.
zombie Jesus is like, I see when you masturbate, and runs at him. He doesn't say that, but I kind of wanted him to talk.
But no, the door like
Yeah.
slowly creaks out like, "Brrr," and he kind of like turns his head like real difficult because of the sleep paralysis, and he's looking sideways at the door, which is just dark behind it. And I was like, that is my scariest thing in horror movies, is like open doors with just black behind it. I'm like, nope, cannot deal with that. So I was like, I should pause this and just skip forward. I was like, I don't want to see whatever this is jump out at me at like 3 a.m. at night.
Well, nothing comes from the door, right? It's from behind. Like the sheet starts rising
I know.
up.
That fucked me even worse because like you then cut from the door's angle and you see him like looking over like, what the fuck's gonna come to the door? And then his sheet starts raising up as if there's something under his sheet. And I was like, nope, I'm out. Like I hate everything about what's going on right here.
Then it was the Burger King from those commercials ruined the whole moment.
I miss the Burger King.
Oh man. But what was under the sheet? Was that Jesus again?
It wasn't Burger King.
No, I know, but was it Jesus again? I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
It
It
was-
was
And then he scares himself awake.
Why Jesus though?
because he's a
Why
priest.
would I know, but why would Jesus come at you? Wouldn't it be a demon or something that you like?
Well, I think it's to show that Balban is so
Pannon.
Balban is so powerful. It can take the form of like the most holy things. So that's why it does the Virgin Mary later and
Well,
Jesus.
Priest Jeffrey said it's going to take the form of your fears and use them against you. And I was like, okay, cool. But I was like, why would you fear Jesus?
because he hasn't done his penance yet.
Oh,
So my man is on the highway to hell.
why wouldn't you just do your fucking penance? What was his penance? Did we ever find out what his
Yes,
penance was?
Yeah, he got to show the tape to the bishop.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the penance.
That's it.
That's it.
But
Confess for your fucking crimes, and that's all you had to do.
but
Yep.
the risk is that it would destroy his whole life.
Who gives a
Rightfully
shit?
so, which is what he.
Eternal salvation
He
versus
gives a
like,
shit.
wow.
I don't know.
No, I'm
Humans
with
are flawed. That's all I'm gonna say.
I am with Garrett though, because at this stage, there's no like mystery of faith. You have seen a demon. You know hell exists.
Yes.
You're gonna be in hell way longer than whatever shitty existence you're gonna have on Earth. So
True.
like the balance to me is I
And
would.
also, I mean, not to sound crass or callous, the Catholic Church has proven it don't give a shit about the terrible things you do.
You probably had, like 5 Hail Marys, a couple
So,
of
They're
rosaries.
gonna move them to fucking like Taiwan and be like, call it a day.
I'm not looking to get into Sunday school here, gentlemen, but I think that if you die with sin, you don't go to hell, you go to purgatory until you pay your penance there. I could be wrong, though.
Well, it depends on the significance of the sin. So something like rape, you probably would go to hell, actually, yeah.
Okay.
There's no way you're going to get fast-tracked. You got fast pass?
I'm not condoning what he did or saying he has zero responsibility, but the man was possessed with a demon when the rape occurred.
True. Also, fast pass to hell, though. If you're demon possessed,
yeah. That's the thing is like you'd want to be like, hey guys, I am totally susceptible to being taken over by a demon, which is probably not the best thing since I'm hanging around children. Maybe we should also bring another person in here to keep it back. Someone watch my back.
Yes. Which he does.
Keep your eyes on my back. Real quick.
Yes.
I have a quote from Alejandro about spooky Jesus.
Okay, tell me.
He says, some people are even offended by the idea of a possessed Jesus, and he's not trying to insult people's faith. That's not truly Jesus. It's a demon playing with your own fear. What's the worst fear for a man of faith other than seeing his faith totally corrupted and converted into something diabolical and dark? So that's what it is. So
people thought that was real. That was Jesus. The idea was that it was possessed Jesus.
No, I think
people
maybe it's
of,
just like they didn't want to see Jesus portrayed as a monster.
People of faith are very, very sensitive about things like this. It's why shows like The Preacher got so much hate. Anything to do with religion, if you start trying to, it's like blasphemy or whatever in their eyes in some cases.
But
right?
shouldn't
Didn't they kill that cartoonist about drawing Muhammad? I mean,
yes,
religion tends to get a little bit.
They should see this as practice. You know, because if you are dealing with a demon, this is the kind of thing a demon's going to throw at you. So you've become like used to it now. You're like, step it up, demon. I'm not scared by your tricks. I see through you.
Yeah. And he goes on to say that I don't even believe in demons, but when I see a movie, if it's an amazing story with dragons, aliens, or demons, I get into that universe. That's basically what I'm trying to do with this horror film.
I think he did a good job.
I agree. It worked.
I definitely think, like Zombie Jesus was very effective. And now that you guys kind of explain it, yeah, okay, I can see that being a little bit more impactful for him.
It's kind of like Silent Hill, right? Like they take your biggest fears and then project
Don't you dare try to bring Silent Hill down to the level of religion, okay?
That's fair.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes a little more sense. But it just seemed like a weird choice. It's like, why would you be afraid of your God, more or less?
Yeah, but it's the fear of
the punishment.
Yeah. Which, again, just fucking confess, man.
Then we wouldn't have a movie. So he doesn't confess.
I know, but geez, it just seems so weird.
But then Father Michael shows up.
Yeah, the heavy hitter of
Jeffrey.
in the Exorcist world, this guy, the way they talked him up, he was going to come in and clean house. Balban, no chance. This guy already whipped Balban once. So he's like, all right, I'm on my way.
Oh, that's right. He did beat Balban.
Yeah. They talk up Father Michael like he is just the OGest of exorcists.
Oh, I love when he rolled up on the scene. He's all like, yo, I've been sipping mezcal all fucking day. And I was like, what? I was like, this dude right here.
He says mezcal is some of the best holy water I've had in a long time.
Yeah. Then he throws a flask at Peter at one point, or he's like, here you go, drink this. And I was like, yo, snap, my man parties.
If I can get through hell, I can make it to Mexico.
Yes.
Okay, man.
Which makes me wonder, when he say I can get through hell, he just meant that figuratively, going through hell, not actually going to hell, right?
It's hard to tell with this guy. That's how much of a gangster he is.
All right.
Did you?
Yes.
Side note.
Yes, I did think he actually went to hell at one point and came back.
He's like Constantine.
So dumb. Oh God.
So you thinking that makes me think that you didn't get his confession at the end of the movie. When Jeffrey confesses what happened in his first exorcism.
He sold his soul to Balban to win, and he was like, that's my secret, is I actually didn't defeat Balban, I just made a deal with the devil.
Right, and he's going to live in hell.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got that. I got that. But I kind of took it as like I went there, and I survived the flames, and now I'm back. Nothing can stop me. I'm a total badass.
So you're thinking like that scene with the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. You shall not pass.
I mean, maybe he didn't go to hell the place, but maybe in his mind he was in hell and he escaped type thing.
That was just the hallucinogens.
Okay. He's on mushrooms. He's like, here, best holy mushrooms I've ever had.
So they roll in together now to go see Balban. All right, we got Michael.
Esperanza.
Esperanza. We got Michael and Peter.
I like how they always send the pretty boy priest to handle all the sexy lady demons.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? It's never
never like an ugly dude.
Yeah, what real priests look like, just like 40, like me.
No offense to all the handsome priests out there.
There's two of you.
Yeah.
Sure, there's the men of the clergy calendar that we get every year.
One of the challenges that Catholicism is facing right now is nobody wants to be a priest, so all the priests are old.
I wonder why. Anyway, let's not get into that.
Yes, I know. So they roll in together, and Balban pulls Father Michael's card in like 4 minutes. He is on the ground crying and weeping.
He bites his ear off.
She bites his ear off. I was like, you have been talking this guy up this whole movie.
Well, the way he walks into the room, okay?
Audience, you couldn't see it, but Mark kind of did this double take and put his hand out like, hold up, wait a minute.
Right. When they walk into the room with Esperanza strapped to the gurney or whatever she's on, he's all like, seen this before. Yeah. We've done this fucking song and dance. He's like, unless you got something to say, I'm going to go.
He tried to run a me. He was scared.
Balban called his bluff like immediately. He's like, nah, son, shuts the door closed. And they can't get out. And you're right, on the ground, biting his ear off.
But when she shuts the door, he still tries to play hard. He's, telekinesis, yawn.
Is that before he's all like, I've seen this before? Is that the let's go get a drink thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to walk out of the room, he's fuck like, this nonsense.
This. I've seen it before. Let's go get a drink, boys. There's got mezcal. This man loves mezcal.
And then, and so they pull Nelson, who's the doctor of this facility, has to like inject her with a sedative and pull her off him. And he's just weeping and his ear is gone now.
And then Peter is all like, take your foul self back to whatever. Like, he's just kind of going through the motions at this point. We find out that it's not super effective because he's not like a man of faith, like fully right now.
He's not effective at anything. Anytime he's faced to do a possession, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Almost. It's like, why are you even here, man? Just let Jeffrey take over.
But she seemed to calm down at one point, like in the bed, like, help me. And I was like, I swear to God, if he fucks this chick in front of these dudes, I'm out. Like, I will turn this movie off.
It's a good thing he didn't, because that's his daughter.
Like he would give a shit.
But I did write, this is one of the horniest exorcism movies I've ever seen.
Yo, this chick was like just going down. Like every possessed woman is just there to get themselves off.
Well, it's one of the tools of the trade in the demon world. It's really to make the people around you very uncomfortable. That's why they're doing it, not to turn you on.
He's got nipple clamps and all. She's like, here we go. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Doesn't work on this guy, though. He just gets more comfortable. He's just like, sweet, my kind of demon.
This is my element.
So they go back to the warden's office and they're like, this is some serious shit. You need to get all the prisoners out of here.
Because there's like 13 prisoners or some shit.
And the warden's like, look,
and they're all female, which I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's a girls' prison, which could have been a way sexier movie if they had gone a different direction with it.
There's plenty of those for you in the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
So the warden's like, look, I don't know how y'all do it in America, but I can't just let all these prisoners go. So you need to come up with a plan B.
The way he says it is so great. He's like, no, you dumb Americans. And I was like, holy shit. Like, he is just like, you're crazy if you think I'm like taking him out of here.
They should have. Go put him in the church. Like, just, not work release, but, take him out.
Work release.
Go find a highway to pick the litter off of or something. Anything would have been better than leaving them here to be possessed by Balban.
Well, I don't think the warden's quite in on it yet.
Did he not see the fucking shit? One of them bit the ear off. Is he not using his eyes?
The warden is just seeing a criminal
being criminal
of meat. Like, that's not anything.
Dude, no, I swear to you, these people are highly religious.
But if you look at her, though, if you've actually seen her,
that's
you're
what
like,
I'm
okay,
saying.
That's a demon.
It's like, maybe I need to listen to this dude from London, this priest who's done this before. Maybe we need to take him to Highway 45 and pick the litter for an
You mean the priest who just got punked? I don't know that I want to listen to this guy. I mean, he just got whipped.
Oh, man, it's all talk.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question before we get back into the next steps of the exorcism? Because it's about to like ramp up real fast from here. Who was the adorable nun that was helping take care of the kids that found the fucking baby fetus doll in the middle of the room and then had that other fucking like nun doll statue come alive behind her? That fucked me up.
That was one of the orphans.
From when like the lady got possessed?
Yeah, back that era.
Holy shit. Okay, I missed that completely.
Right.
But so she walks into a room after hearing some noises and seeing blood on the ground, and she walks up to this like little like white shroud thing in the middle of a room lit by a candle next to it, and she uncovers it, and it's like a baby doll face, like a porcelain doll face on a fetus body or something like that.
I was like, is this a dead fetus?
I thought it was.
Yeah.
But it had porcelain baby doll face.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
It was such a quick cut.
Yeah, and then behind her, this statue, because why wouldn't you have giant creepy statues in your church?
Have you ever been to a Catholic church?
Yeah,
Nope.
They're not
Full of them.
well, they're not creepy in the daytime.
Oh no, they're creepy in the daytime, I guarantee you. It comes to life.
They're meant
and,
to
like,
be inspiring, goddammit.
Well, it inspires me not to go to church. So creeps up behind her, and it's like got this weird living statue doll face with different color eyes. Holy man, it creeped me the fuck out. It was so scary. And it lunges at her, and then she freaks out and runs off.
And the Foley work for that statue, amazing. Really sounds
freaky.
awesome.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it's like inorganic. I was like, holy shit.
Really cool effect. But does that just mean that any statue anywhere can be possessed at any time by a demon?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the level of the demons, but when you're working with like a level 7 or above, yeah.
What about those living statues you see on the street as street performers? Do you think they're
already
part
possessed.
demon also?
They're already possessed.
It all depends on if they, can roll for a save. But
okay, so I wanted to mention her because she comes back later and I didn't know who she was. So she's just an orphan that grew up in this place and has seen like the good that's come about from Father Peter's good deeds and works.
Right. He has actually been doing some good work in the past 18 years.
Legitimately, like the surrounding areas fucking love him.
Is this about the time that Magdalene kind of forgives him for what happened? Is this the scene?
So, yeah, I think Father Michael and Peter have a little pep talk, and Michael's like, look, you can't have... The Roman ritual isn't working. The demons are wise to it. We've been using it for 2,000 years, and they finally adapted. They've evolved. We're dealing with demons.
Took them a while.
Yes,
They got there.
We're dealing with demons 2.0. So you're going to have to freestyle this. We're going to just go in, and we're going to do our own shit. You down? And Peter's like, yes. So they go to the warden, and the warden, we talked about this. The
And when
warden,
you say do your own shit, like he literally means he's like, do whatever you feel is right.
come
Like,
from the heart.
Yeah, he says that the exorcisms don't work because so many people of little faith are doing them. So really all it comes down to is believe. He's like, don't believe God is with you. Believe you are God when
and
you're in that
they
room.
emphasize that. And I was like, whoa. I was like, wouldn't that be blasphemy though?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Big
Okay,
time.
I was all like, which is I kind of loved about Father Jeffrey or whatever his name was, Father
Michael.
because like you could tell he's just kind of like, yeah, I've been in this church thing for a while. I'm just gonna do my own thing with it because he was just like, yeah, believe your God. And I was like, I think that's blasphemy. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to say that.
Especially in the Catholic side of things, it took them up until like the 1960s for them to be like, yeah, you can do your own prayers. For the longest, until the 1960s, Catholic Mass consisted of you looking at the back of a priest who was looking at Jesus, who was doing the Mass in Latin. So they do not want you talking directly to God. You got to go through your management layers.
Don't skip levels here.
Yes. So the idea that you are God, also notably the plot of Stigmata. Another Exorcist movie.
That movie.
Yeah.
I do really appreciate this scene because it really does lay some groundwork and try to give some context to why there's 90 exorcism movies and they all fail.
Yeah, it's all the
in
amateurs.
every movie. Yeah. So I appreciate them being like, hey, this is why this is going on.
Yeah, which I believe. So they go to the warden. The warden's like, get bent. So Nelson, who's this doctor, is like, okay, what I can do is put them all to sleep. Well, no, that sounds like they're going to kill him. What I
gonna
can
sedate them.
Yeah. And they're like, fine, that'll have to do. And now is like kind of the night before the time before the battle scene. Peter meets up with the first possessed person. What's her name?
Magdalene.
And Magdalene's like, look, this is weird to say, but I'm happy it happened because now I have her, and she wanted to be an astronaut, and she's just the best thing ever. So
She said, I was just like, she's so dedicated to stuff, sometimes you want to kill her. And I was like, whoa.
yeah,
It's like,
tenacious. So she's like, go save your daughter. And the music swells.
And I guess I can see some people's contention with that point of the movie.
Yes.
Right.
What she's saying is, I love my daughter.
Right,
I think
yeah.
she's like, this was a terrible thing. I don't think she's trying to belittle the atrocity that happened to her, but she's like, the outcome, I love my daughter. I don't hold that against her. So
I never would have had this joy if that terrible thing hadn't happened to me. And this is a tried and true storytelling thing. And, this is actually like, it happens in real life too.
Yeah.
And I mean, and okay, cool. Like, I don't find a problem with this plot beat at all, just because, okay, this is easily justified. It's not forced upon her. She came to that decision on her own. But
Every instance and every individual is different, and it's not going to result in the same feeling every time.
agreed. So she's like, go save your daughter. And he's like, I'm going to. He walks into the jail. The music is like this really over-the-top musical score.
There's a montage scene.
This movie turns into a zombie film.
Yes.
For the rest of this, it's a tonal shift.
Doors close in the last 30 minutes, like Mark said, it is like Resident Evil. And it immediately goes off the rails.
Because Nelson is out in the hallways. Like, he's like just kind of like, making sure everything is legit outside. No one's waking up. Everything's like kind of contained outside the doors. But outside, the prisoners wake up, possessed themselves.
Poor dude.
They start chasing them through the hallways, like zombie style. And then like one jumps down from the ceiling with a knife and stabs him in the back. And it's like, Shasha, gotcha. And he's just getting killed.
My number 2 complaint about this movie is character looking forward, someone hits him from behind. It's about to happen 15 times in 30 minutes.
Yes, it happens multiple times in this movie.
So annoying. So I guess they couldn't think of other options except character drops from the ceiling and gets him. Really annoying.
I don't want to derail the plot here, but I do need to mention that I super love the fact that they decided to start steaming holy water and making a mist.
Oh, well, yeah, because Jeffrey was all like, he's like, yeah, the old way, it just doesn't work the way with this. We can kind of control the whole area.
He's like, Balban can't jump from body to body if there's holy water steam in the room.
Yep.
Which I like. It's like a good way to justify why there's all this fog.
It reminded me of like Blade 2 when they made those light grenades and all the weaponry against the vampires.
So good.
I was like, we need more technical, cool possession weapons.
Yeah, I guess it's like what Constantine and
yeah, that's true.
That's the kind of stuff he does. That's who they need to call in for this level of possession.
John Constantine, where are you?
They're making a sequel.
Yeah,
I know.
Exciting.
Okay. I was like, well, ask and you shall receive, Mark.
I really liked the first movie. Now I'm not like the biggest comic book person, so maybe that's why I liked it. But I thought it was fine.
No, it's good.
This has been your Constantine moment. Back to exorcisms. So, yeah, they're just getting their asses handed to them because Balban is just like, y'all ain't shit. Like, just totally, like, just verbally smacked down on these two. And they're just kind of like, we got to keep believing, keep the faith. And I was like, wow, this is already shaking you guys. You're in trouble.
Yeah. I also, so maybe it's because I've never been in this situation, but if you actually saw a demon, wouldn't that strengthen your faith? Because you'd be like, oh, I don't need to like wonder if there's a God. I'm actively looking at a demon. I am so positive right now. My faith has never been stronger.
Yeah, you're right.
But all the time, it's like the opposite effect. They're like, oh man, a demon. That must be no God then. Like, what kind of logical leaps are you making?
Right. That's it. That defeats needing faith.
Yes.
It's fact at that point.
It's no longer blind faith. It's just faith.
Yeah.
But in every now I'm just complaining about exorcism movies, but every one, that's what happens. So eventually, Balban escapes, and the situation goes foobar.
They don't even make it into Esperanza's room. The power goes out before they even go in there. When they go in there, she's already gone.
Okay.
And there's writing all over the wall.
And she's like, I'm going to fuck you up. She just wrote that 50,000 times.
So they skedaddle backwards to try to go figure out why the power is out. And then they find out, like, they find Nelson and he's bleeding out in one of the halls. And then all of the fucking Spice Girl possessors start coming out of every prison. And it's like, I guess the injection didn't work. And they're still awake and terrifying
Before
people.
Nelson gets killed, he's like, they should have put him out. Like, he's like, what the hell? Like,
It's like horse tranquilizer.
So it's like something like supernatural at that point.
Nelson, when they find Nelson, that was a pretty cool scene because we don't know it's Nelson right away. We just see like this darkened figure crawling toward them. He's like elbow crawling.
Good effect.
Yeah, very well done. And then they're like, oh, geez, what's coming at us? And it's like poor Nelson, all dead.
Best
or almost
elbow
dead.
crawl ever, though, is from The Loved Ones. When she's climbing down that road and her like elbow bones are out and she's just dragging. Oh, God. Loved Ones. That's another good. I watched that recently, too.
This is less intense than that. His elbow bones are fine. It's just his neck and jugular that are wrecked.
But they're surrounded now, right? We've got possessed women from the front and the back, and we've got Michael over there waving his cross in one direction and saying religious words, and then Peter's got the rear.
And it's holding him back. So it's working for a little bit, and then Zombie Jesus shows up, right? Is this where he comes?
I think so, but also Esperanza's in the hallway, and you see Michael's cross glow bright red and burn his hand.
Well,
and
yeah,
he drops
because
it.
he's mad talking shit back. He's like, oh, fuck that noise. Like, you fucked with me before, but now I'm coming hard. And then she she makes the cross like heat up in his hand and it burns his hand. He has to drop it.
But he had a backup.
Of course.
He looks panicked though. Like he looks super panicked.
Well, it's because that was his favorite exorcism cross.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, I'm gonna have to use the shitty dollar store Cracker Jack one.
All wood.
Yeah.
You can't heat up wood. It's the metal on it.
Unless it caught fire.
Okay, you know what? I stand corrected.
Poking holes in your your exorcism.
That's
Leave
fine.
the head cannon to the professionals.
Poke the holes.
That's a shirt.
Okay.
Leave the head cannon to the professionals. So out of the dark comes the one that stabbed Nelson and gets Father Michael.
Also from the back.
Jumps from behind him and stabs him in the back, and then fade to black. And I was like, why do you guys keep doing this? Every time you hit someone in the head or stab them in the back, it like fades the scene out. And I was like, stop that.
It's the easiest way to cut to a new scene.
Yeah, it's true. But I think that don't they like retreat and they go into some small room, and this is where
Yeah.
Father Michael gives them-
Peter drags Michael into a room that they barricade with like a drink cart.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
It's the kitchen.
It's like it's
Right.
got wheels. If
Yeah, that's a bad barricade.
you just wheeled it there, they're gonna wheel it away. But anyway, and
I
this
was holding him though.
yeah somehow, and so this is where Father Michael's like, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm really shitty at my job, and I never actually beat Balban before. In fact, I made a deal with him. I'm going to hell, Peter. Right to hell. I don't pass go. Peter's like, this is some crazy news you're
He
telling
says,
me.
whatever you do,
Do not make a deal.
do not make a deal. Now,
Well, this is dueling confession because Michael goes, "What the hell did you do, Peter?"
Yes.
And he's like, "She's your daughter. Damn it, Peter."
They're both like, we are just two fucked exorcists right now.
did he confess to raping
No,
Magdalene also?
He
Or
just
said,
says,
"It's my daughter"?
that's my daughter. And he's like,
Oh,
and
Jesus. Even in the time of this, he still can't be like, all right, straight up, this is what's going down.
well, because he's like, I think he must actually confess because he keeps going on about, I was possessed. He said, so when does he have that scene where he talks about how he was possessed? 50,000. It must be here.
I think that's this
So
point,
yes,
yeah.
he does. So yeah, he does acknowledge that he had sex
Oh,
with
yeah,
her.
no, he fought so hard to make sure everyone knew that he was quote unquote possessed.
It was the
time.
demon.
But it literally was. So, what kind of culpability does Peter have?
Well, it really.
Is he guilty even though he was not in control?
He
Well-
can't do an exorcism without a chastity belt. And someone else has the key just to be safe.
Now, the question is,
Unless you can get mouth pregnant, which I was told was not a thing, but
You need to take anatomy courses. Mouth pregnant is not a thing.
a TikTok says,
look, kissing, sitting on a toilet seat, these are all ways I can get pregnant, you guys.
Do you know what the kids are doing now instead of Tide Pods? Cooking chicken and NyQuil.
kids.
I miss the days of putting alcohol on fucking tampons or whatever and watching kids shove
Yeah,
up their
I
butts.
mean, I can't throw shade because I did not like that kind of stupid shit, but I did stupid shit as a kid, so there's just no TikTok to videotape it.
We did do stupid shit, but I don't think we were as ingenuous and used as much ingenuity as some of these kids. Like the whole like alcohol tampon thing.
Well,
I was shocked when I heard that. I was like, okay, the fucking Tide Pod thing. I was just like, yo, this is just bananas.
Well, what I don't get is why they like. Does it get you high?
What?
The NyQuil chicken? Is that what the goal is?
I don't know.
You fall asleep
I don't know
halfway
what.
through eating it?
Like,
Dude, you imagine doing a NyQuil turkey, the tryptophan plus the sleep med? You're going into a coma.
because look, when I was in my 20s and late teens, early 20s doing stupid shit, it's because somebody told me it was going to get me high. I'm not going to lie.
That's
There
the
were-
reason the world is motivated to do anything.
Yes, they were like-
someone licked a toad at some point. Okay.
So I never really did, I guess, ingested stupid shit just for the lulls. But I guess that's what kids are doing these days.
My original question, what is Peter's culpability
Yes.
in the act of rape when he's not in control of his body?
Now, here's the question. Do you want to hear it from what I think the Catholic point of view would be, or like the more logical?
Let's hear the Catholic version and the law version of it.
I think Catholic version, they would say Peter committed a sin in lust, and that's how the demon got in to begin with. So it was
The act of kissing her in the first place.
well, or yes, I mean, yes, and he had this secret lust for her, right?
oh, right. Even more than
Even,
that.
yes, I
Right.
mean, like the commandments, like you can't even covet your neighbors. Just the act of having lust or the thought is a sin. You're supposed to not only not act on it, you're not even supposed to have these thoughts.
Right.
So I think
Okay, how do you fucking square that peg? Like, how do you like?
You don't.
As
Yes.
a religious like leader, how do you be like? Let's do the one thing that humans have never been able to conquer in the history of existence. Let's make that our fucking one of our big stipulations. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure.
I think
It's just so dumb. Like, I hate the stupidness of it.
in modern times, outside of like the fire and brimstone type churches, I think in most modern priests and religious folks would be a little looser in that interpretation. But if we're going fire, brimstone, by the book, that is, he committed a sin in lust. The devil took advantage of that sin. But if he hadn't committed that sin, the devil wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it, and he wouldn't have committed rape. So he is culpable.
Clarice.
That makes
Now,
sense.
legally, I mean,
Legally, he raped that chick. Done. Like, we're
yeah,
finished talking.
I think it was at the Exorcism of Emily Rose, right? The devil isn't a justification, so
No, he would be penned for it for absolute certainty. And you have to suspend your disbelief of you don't believe in demons. If you're getting into this world, you're presented that the demon is, so then you have to make a decision as the viewer. Is he culpable for what he did?
yes. Within the framework of this movie, I would say he is not culpable for the rape because he was not in control of himself within the framework of this movie. But what he is culpable for is not coming forward afterwards and hiding
he's
that.
culpable for it. Honestly, if you know you've got a wicked crush on some girl and she's in a position of like vulnerability and like is like clearly like under you at this point, you're a priest, she's a nun, like you should never have entered that room. He should never have done that. He should have been like, there is too much potential for bad shit to happen here. I don't know if I can control myself. I'm going to clearly make out with her after I fucking depossess her. So,
Well, let's just be clear that we think what he did is disgusting. We are not
Yes.
condoning this.
well, not even that. I'm just
all
saying, like,
worlds.
However,
but he should have known better. He
she
should
would
not
have
been
died.
One.
Yes.
She would have died.
It's not
Is
like
it
there's-
better if she died?
There's not 10 priests in the community, right? It's
It
just
was him or nobody.
But
And he
don't-
loved her.
but-
He doesn't want her to
well,
die.
Question: does it have to be a priest? Can it just be anyone of faith?
Well, that is what Michael was saying. All these amateurs are coming in doing half-ass exorcisms.
All right.
And now we got to...
So it's time for the big boys to step up to the plate.
Right. So I think if like average Joe had done it, also we know that regular priests are getting their ass just handed to them. They're getting
So like they're the
spanked by
American gladiators of Catholicism, if you will.
Yeah, like the pros are getting whipped. I don't think average dude
Okay,
just
all right.
coming in screaming the power of Christ compels you is getting very far.
This is my biggest problem with the movie and I could see where the people are saying this, but like honestly, like I never found him to be a sympathetic or like I never like backed.
No. He's not.
I agree.
I don't think he's
Peter?
sympathetic at all.
Yeah, I couldn't stand him the whole time. I was like, dude, I hope you figure your shit out. But I'm glad you're doing good. But dude, sorry, man, you need to fucking own up for what you did. But like, yeah, this whole movie was just like, oh man, what like, will it negate all the good I've done? And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I had a really difficult time, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed that I had a really difficult time not being able to relate or join my main character on their journey instead of Joni, because it made me like interact with all the side characters so much more.
So it turns out they're both terrible priests. They both did bad things. Michael's like, I'm going to die now. And he
It literally does.
yeah. And his part of the movie over. Then they get in the room, they knock out Peter, fade to black, and
Well, they jump behind him, hit him
Yes.
in the back of the head, and then fade to black because this movie loves that thing.
has to with a candlestick, just bop, fade to black. He wakes up, he's strapped to a chair
It was possessed Professor Plum with the candlestick.
in the kitchen.
It wasn't the kitchen.
He wakes up, he's strapped to a chair
I
with
love this chair.
a bunch of chains. It looked like it was like the kind of chair they do the electrocution at.
Yeah, it's like this big wooden chair with straps, and there's like chains like against the back wall that like go to his like neck harness and his arm harness. Yo, it was really rad looking. I was
Yes.
like, yo, that is a straight up rowdy sex chair.
Yes. And the 5 Spice Girl demons are just sort of crouching all around him.
They ask him if they wants to be his lover.
Yes, but you got to get with
Wait,
my
isn't that a
friends.
Spice Girl song? Okay, yeah. Okay. Mark, did you find that one amusing?
Oh, you apparently didn't know what you said. It was the actual song. That's what I found funny.
People on the world, spice up your life.
Oh boy.
You know what? My sister was a huge Spice Girl fan. I heard it my whole like childhood growing up. So what can I say? I got Spice Girls on the brain. She even liked the movie.
Ew.
Yeah. She was like 8. I can't judge her for her 8-year-old, but it was terrible.
Anyway,
So-
so Peter is strapped to a chair.
And then comes the Exorcism of God. And
Oh, I get it now. They're trying to excise God
God
from Peter.
yes.
Okay, Jesus.
So-
I missed that.
Can never remember, not
Esperanza.
Esperanza comes forward and does a demonic version of the exorcism ritual. So instead of lead us not from temptation, she says lead us to temptation. Instead of deliver us from evil, deliver us to evil. She's like rejiggered all of the lines to be demonic.
Her and Peter doing it at the same time.
Yes, they're screaming
It's like a
this
dueling
prayer.
banjo kind of thing.
Meanwhile, back at the orphanage, the Virgin Mary demon statue thing has come to life and is like, I'm going to kill all these kids. And the nun is in there like fighting that thing, like hand-to-hand combat. I was like, yo.
And every kid is like convulsing in their bed. It's a crazy scene, man.
Yes.
They hit a home run when they built that Virgin Mary statue.
Yes, that was an awesome effect.
Because this is where Balban basically says, like, I'm going to kill all these kids. Like, this is the Easter surprise, baby. Like, I'm taking them all out.
Every one of them flatlines at the same time. So the nun's like, this is insane. What's happening right now?
The nun says, God damn it, what the hell?
And then she starts getting choked out by the statue.
Yes. And then she gets her cross up and
Oh, she's fighting it, like, hand to hand. And
Yes.
then, like, at this point, we cut back to the room. Balban's like, okay, straight up, like, you have to get rid of God. Like, you know, get rid of God out of your body completely, more or less. I win, you lose. And I'll let these kids win. And then he's also like, but you got to let my daughter win, too. Like, you got to let her, like, be free. And he's like, okay, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, Peter's like, all of them.
yes. And they've
That's the deal.
and they've like exercised themselves to a standstill. They both have been screaming prayers at each other.
Negotiations have broken down.
Prayers and anti-prayers at each other for, I can only assume, 8 hours, 9 hours. They're exhausted.
Did you take that?
No,
I thought it
a
was like
couple of
seconds.
minutes. Yeah.
I'm spent.
Ballband did not have time for this. Eventually, all the windows break, and it got cold in there, and they're like, we got to speed this up. And this is when they make the deal, which notably, Father Michael said like 8 times, don't make a deal with the devil. And I was like, yeah, there's no bad songs or movies or stories about making deals with the devil.
And he said it so many times, like, that's how we're going to do this
Yes.
movie. It's going to end this way.
And so he makes a deal. He's like, all right, fine. God, get out of me. It's time for me to accept that I'm a demon.
God, skedaddle.
Yes, I almost said skedaddle. Skedaddle, be gone. Balban takes
22 skidoo, whatever you want.
Balban takes over. All the kids come back to life.
So wait, does Balban get to go into Peter at this point? Was that the deal? Like, you kick out God and I get to go into you? Or was that just kind of like he just was already
Yes.
in? Because I thought Balban was still in there from the very beginning when he raped that chick.
He did, and he just temporary possession. He rented Peter's body
Yes.
for a weekend.
Oh, okay. So now he's back. Like, he's like, cool, there's a vacancy. I'm going to go where God was.
Yeah, because you cannot have God and devil in the same vessel, right? So, yeah, it was temporary. When he kissed Magali originally, he let God go for that moment, and Balban had his opening.
Out he went. Well, I think what happened is Balban left during the impregnation to take over
You're
the
right.
kid.
You're
You
right.
know what? Magali says that she has been on and off possessed for years. And I laughed so hard when she said that. I was like, and you didn't think about calling anybody before now? She's like, this keeps happening. It happens every like now and then. She'll just like be possessed.
Oh,
by
you mean
these things.
Esperanza?
Esperanza will
Yeah,
be.
okay.
But Magali tells like Peter this. Like, she's like, she's been like on and off like dealing with this. Like,
Oh, you're right. She did say that.
Yeah.
and I was like, you didn't think to reach out before then? Like, with your history, what happened? You didn't think this was applicable? Oh man, I'm not going to judge her. She's going through her own shit.
She's-
but
yeah.
still.
Is it time to blame the victim?
No.
Would you go back to the priest who, assuming that she's in the same parish, right? Maybe she didn't move that far away because she went to. Would you go back and be like, "Hey, by the way, I need your help again"?
Quit trying to do the work, all right? There's no reason to. I'm just saying, like, it just kind of shocked me. It was just like, yeah, this keeps happening. I was
No.
like, huh.
That's
Yes.
a very good point.
Time for her biannual exorcism. Yeah, so Balban takes over Peter. All the kids come back to life. The nun is like, I beat that Virgin Mary statue. Go me.
I thought the kids were possessed because they're all sitting up smiling at her in this really weird still. And I was like, oh my God, he took over all the kids. He didn't kill them, but he's in all these kids.
It was a weird scene.
Yes, they all popped up perfectly.
You're like, eh? And then we cut to a Sunday sermon where Peter's up at the pulpit giving his speech about who all doesn't get to come to heaven.
It is fire and brimstone.
And homosexuals is one of them.
Yeah, sinners, women, homosexuals.
I don't think he said women.
He said harlots or something. Like, he said like loose women or something.
Perverts.
Yeah. He's
People
really
who think that exorcism chairs look like sex chairs.
Yeah.
Guys, I got no chance.
people who don't go fast in the left lane. Just the list. It was a really long scene.
People who put mayonnaise on hot dogs.
Yes. Oh, right to hell.
Straight to jail. Yeah, so he does this whole thing, and then everyone out there is outside, like, congratulating him, shaking his hand. He's hugging everyone, and they're just all like, "Oh, Peter, you're the best around." And he's like, "Shit, baby, I know it." And then, and so he's doing this, and then he off in the distance, like, you know, because we forgot to say at one point, but right before he has to go back in and fight Esperanza, he records a video on his phone of him confessing to the bishop, because he's like, I can't actually fight Balbon if I'm not fully clean. So he records a video message, sends it to the bishop, and it's like, yo, straight up, I totally like did this thing, and then sends it. So then he goes in and fights that whole fight, and that's why he was on even footing. Now,
he also did burn the videotape at one point.
Yes, earlier in the movie, he burned. That's when he's talking to Michael out in the courtyard. And he's like, "Here, try this mezcal." And you're like, "You son of a bitch!"
Physically burned it, not like to a CD.
Yeah,
Or insulted to death.
Yes.
Oh, burn.
burn.
You're no Betamax.
Ooh,
So
fighting words.
So he sees the bishop across the courtyard, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And right before he does, like, Magdalene's like, "Thank you so much. You have no idea. I've never seen her this happy." Yada yada yada. And you see his daughter out there talking to people too, and you're like, "Okay, cool. You think everything's legit." So he starts walking over to the bishop, and he's all like, "Oh, hi," and he's like, "Oh, hi," and so he's like, he's like, "You're doing good work here," and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "So the video that I sent you," he's like, "I erased it." And then you're like, "Oh shit, the bishop erased the rape confession." And you're like, "Wait a minute." And he's like, "Look, all the good work you're doing here, like, I'd hate to like undo that." And then this is the part where the kid comes up and like grabs his hand and is like, "Thank you so much, senor," or whatever it is. Like,
That's Esperanza.
Yes,
No,
Esperanza.
a little kid comes up first, grabs his hand.
And then he kind of recoils.
Yeah,
from
he
that.
pulls back real hard, and then he's like remembers. He's like, "Oh yeah, hi, bless you. You know, Jesus, good job."
Yeah. Then Esperanza goes like, "Thank you so much for everything you did." And he refuses to touch her hand, and his hand's getting all like kind of like antsy, contorted. And she's like, "Thank you so much for what you did." And he's like, "You're very welcome." And then she walks back over, and she's off hugging the people, and they're all kind of looking at her like in a saintly way of like, "Oh wow, you know, you're doing so much good and stuff." And this is when Peter and the bishop, he's like, "Wow, we should have known that God would leave his mark," because like you find out that the bishop erased the video because he's like a disciple of Balban, right?
Yes,
The bishop is also possessed by who? We don't know.
Well, is he
Pazuzu.
possessed, or is he just like?
He did the eye orange thing.
Oh, the bishop did too.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
What does that mean? The eye orange thing. His eyes glowed orange like a possessed person.
Yeah,
that we've
like
seen in the
Balban was possessed the whole.
Right.
Yeah.
And what they say is that, like, good thing we stuck trying to get Peter ruined because God had chosen him to be a saint. But it looks like God's already picked his next saint, and it is Esperanza, and her eyes glow blue.
yes.
Yeah.
The phrasing is much weirder. It's like, I see heaven's played its cards too.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Basically,
All right,
we
whatever.
got Michael. We excised God, which shows that we're super powerful. We got Peter, but looks like God also slipped his card back into play by making Esperanza then saintly, and she's going to basically carry on his side of the work. So basically showing that the scales balance itself. Like God got punched, knocked down, but he got back up. You know?
He
It's
put
like,
down a reverse card. It was like, reverse. Take that.
And Pazuzu's like, "Draw 4, bitches."
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the bishop goes like, "Well, that's no worry because there's a consulting position available for you at the Vatican." And he's like, "Ah, good." And it's like, what? And then we get the weirdest thing, and I hated this about the movie. We cut to a picture of somebody walking up to the Vatican City.
It was Peter.
Peter.
Oh, was that Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
taking his new job at the Vatican.
Okay, I thought it was just a random person. And the voiceover goes like, "They never said man would inherit heaven." Oh no, that the meek would inherit heaven. Or no, it's something about like the evil will inherit the earth or some shit like that. God, someone fix this for me.
Yeah, Mark can just put in the audio.
Yes, Mark, please play the clip.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby!
I did not take notes of what it said at the
I
end.
didn't forgot to, but it was some real
really,
cheesy
It's really
shit.
dumb, like basically like, you know,
No, the evil ones will not inherit the kingdom of God. They will inherit the earth.
so that's the dumb line they play at the end of the movie. And like, it just kind of like, I don't know. It just felt very cheesy for like everything we'd been through. And it was also kind of like the whole like, oh no, The bad guys won.
Well, they definitely wanted there to be a sequel. I don't know if there is going to be one, but that was the whole end of this movie, was to set up the Exorcism of God cinematic universe.
Oh, I would love to have someone inside the Vatican realize that maybe like half the Vatican's on the like demonic take.
You know what? Get at me. There's some movies about that.
Oh, is there?
I think that's also the criticism of the church that the movie's trying to lay at the
Yes.
feet of the church. It's like, why do you guys keep letting all this bad stuff happen?
I think The Omen. Isn't The Omen have a...
The Omen has some of that, yeah.
But that's this movie.
That's this movie.
I still give it 2 thumbs up, like the Fonz.
I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I think that's what I did give
Yeah,
it.
it's
And I gave it
enjoyable enough.
3.5 out of 5.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Some of the other reviews I saw were saying that this movie turns into a comedy, and that's why they hated it. They thought it was cheesy as hell and lame and all other
I mean,
stuff.
when Zombie Jesus jumps up the wall and skitters around like a bug, I mean, that's standard like demonic stuff, but like
Yeah.
that was a little bit funny to me. I was like, oh, okay.
I laughed out loud when Spooky Jesus showed up. I was like, oh shit, they're going to do that?
Yeah.
All right.
Hardcore parkour.
I thought it was just a movie that didn't take itself too seriously, but not that it intended to be a comedy.
Oh, no, it was never meant to be a comedy. I wouldn't say it was a dark comedy.
No.
This is a movie that's had some funny moments in it because they just seemed awkwardly funny.
Well, Bill D on Google said, couldn't even get past the first 10 minutes. I mean, really. A priest performing an exorcism on a very voluptuous female falls for lust of all obvious temptations and starts making out with her? Really? I could have performed a better exorcism. How ridiculous. How ridiculously unrealistic. $7 down the drain. Well, Bill, you only gave it 10 minutes. That's your fault. You flushed that $7.
Yeah. Bill,
I could have done a better exorcism. Bill, you know what? Take a seat.
that is why the Roman ritual doesn't work anymore, Bill, because of people like you freestyling exorcisms.
A voluptuous, like, what does that have to do with the fact that she's like possessed by?
I mean, her body was banging.
Don't get me wrong, banging body, but you know what? Now's not the time.
Bill was tempted by the flesh.
Bill's just furthering the stereotype that men should not be doing exorcisms.
Yeah, well, Bill recognizes a banging body when he sees one. Bill's Banging Bodies is his website, so...
Banging bodies.
Come over to BBB's. All right. Well, I would recommend this film. I think it's worthwhile, entertaining, especially for the budget. I think they pulled off a pretty good film.
Yeah, what was the budget on this?
I think it's like $2.5 million, something like that.
No way, that little? Mm-hmm. Wow, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
There was some great effects for that.
I can't say that to be definitive. If you go to the wiki page, there's barely any information, and some of it seems like there's typos in it, but
Nice.
it was like $2.5 million, something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I would agree. They did a lot. Oh, wow. IMDb says 1.3 million.
Oh, that's even less.
Estimated gross worldwide, 6 million.
Wow, that's really good.
So well done. And yeah, I totally agree. I like this movie. You should watch it.
Yeah, if you like exorcism movies, this one is definitely up there. So that's Exorcism of God.
3 recommendations here. Well, anything else we want to say about it before we wrap?
No, except that if you look at the parents' guide for this movie, 5 times it just talks about that he slept with the demon in 5 different ways. Women expose his breasts, sexual assault, acts of sexual assault. Priest sleeps with a woman during an exorcism. A woman is sexually assaulted during an exorcism. Okay, you could have written that one time, IMDb.
Sure, definitely.
Oh, it's like have you seen the True Romance one? It's all like 562 counts of shit. Too many fucks to mention is what it says. It's like something like that. I was like, holy crap, that's crazy. So you counted the shits, but you just gave up on the fucks.
It's too many.
But
To mention.
My fuck meter's broken.
Yeah.
so as we said, 3 recommendations.
Big time.
Coming up next episode, the conclusion to Blumhouse's Halloween trilogy with Halloween Ends.
Well, I guess we'll finally find out if Evil dies tonight. 'Cause it didn't die that other night when they said Evil dies
I
tonight.
hope he just fucks everyone up.
Guess we'll see.
Evil dies next week.
Well, it's going to end. So maybe evil ends tonight, but it doesn't necessarily have to die. Just finishes up. It's done its job.
Anyway, listeners, thank you for tuning in this week. If you have any cold open ideas or movie recommendations, let us know. We'll try to get to them when we can. You can find all the Grave Talk stuff we got going on at thegravetalk.com. We've got an Instagram, a Facebook, and a Twitter page. Reach out. Let us know what you think about these movies. We're always happy to hear from you. And until next time, Evil dies tonight. We'll see you later.